More on the ISIS conflict in Iraq is Foundation for Defense of Democracy's senior fellow Daid Gartenstein-Ross. Daid, tell me, ISIS has taken a border post now with Syria. How dangerous of a development is this?
It's something that actually could have been expected. You've had some fighting at border posts for quite some time in different areas, and I should note that not all of the fighting at the border is actually led by ISIS. I mean, the fighting is broadly described as ISIS, which is fair because ISIS is in the lead. But in Al-Qaim, for example, the group that has been in the lead of fighting at that border area has been the Nusra Front over the course of the past week or so. There's multiple partners that ISIS is working with in its coalition.
What goes through your mind when you see these groups marching through Baghdad like that?
Well, it's very interesting. What goes through my mind more than anything is that this is to some extent a snapshot of the future of warfare. The nation state is going to be, a dominant player moving forward, but increasingly the kind of fighting that we're going to see is going to be state versus non-state actors. In fact, over the course of the past 14 years, that's been the dominant mode of conflict that we've seen in terms of where most of the fighting in the world is occurring. And increasingly we'll see states turning to violent non-state actors to combat other violent non-state actors, and that's precisely what we see in Iraq today, where Shia militias are coming out to fight against Sunni insurgents who've made this massive advance. And meanwhile, the nation-state is looking to other non-state militias, like looking to Turkmen, for example, to help back up the fact that their military isn't sufficient in itself to stop the advance of ISIS and its allies.
Now, what about the United States? Considering their options as well, what can they realistically do to help address the crisis and internationally as well?
There's multiple options that the U.S. has. I mean, if you look at places like Mali and Somalia, those are part of what the U.S. has in its playbook with respect to violent non-state actors. I think the key question is, what is the U.S. willing to do? So far, the Obama administration has taken a very piecemeal and pragmatic approach, which is consistent with the doctrine that the president outlined in his West Point speech, in which he talked about how the United States can't always be in the lead, that local and regional partners need to be the lead with the U.S., providing assistance to them. And so far, that's what Iraq looks like, with the U.S. doing very little. It's possible that you'll see the U.S. eventually undertaking drone strikes, for example, at select targets, but part of the reason that the U.S. has been so slow to really get involved is probably the dissatisfaction with Maliki. The thinking in the United States and in many other parts of the world is that Maliki is a big part of the problem, that his leadership is helping to drive some of the sectarian tensions that allowed ISIS to advance. But
internally, what can the Iraqi government do now?
Well, you have a great deal of troops who've massed. For example, in Samarra, you have about 50,000 troops that have advanced to try to retake lost ground. The Iraqi government has good aerial power. You'll see Iraq carrying out airstrikes. When you have an enemy like ISIS that right now is a bit overextended and trying to hold multiple cities at once, you'll probably see the Iraqi government make fairly quick advances. But let's keep in mind that they, since the beginning of the year, ISIS has managed to hold the city of Fallujah. It still holds it today. The Iraqi government was not able to take that back following a surprise attack that ISIS launched on January the 1st, which means that even though ISIS is bound to experience some reversals, they probably aren't going to lose all of their territory either.
David, thanks so much for joining us.
My pleasure.